Do you believe in time travel? What if we told you right now that there are real documented cases that prove exactly that? And if you're thinking that time travel only exists in movies and that there has to be a logical explanation for everything, then we're very curious to see how you explain these 10 mysterious cases. So let's jump straight into the first one, and this one hits incredibly hard. Number 10. The mysterious time travel of Corporal Armando Valdes. What if a person disappears for just a few minutes, and yet entire days pass for him during that tiny moment? That's exactly the kind of terrifying incident that shook the Chilean military back in 1977, and it begins with a blinding light that many still believe was a UFO. On the night of April 25, 1977, Corporal Armando Valdes was leading a patrol through the Atacama Desert. The region is notorious for unexplained aerial phenomena, and on this night, a strange pulsating glow suddenly appeared in the sky. It came closer and closer until it flooded the entire desert floor with cold, white light. His soldiers froze where they stood. Some dropped to their knees, others covered their eyes. Valdes ordered his unit to regroup and stepped forward with determination. Moments later, he vanished without a trace. To his men, he was simply gone, as if the light had swallowed him whole. For the soldiers, 15 minutes passed in absolute panic. They searched the ground frantically, called out for him again and again, but he remained missing. Then, just as suddenly as he had disappeared, Valdes was standing in front of them again. But he wasn't the same man they had seen before. Valdes was known for his distinct mustache, but now he had a thick, full beard, as if many days had passed in an instant. His wristwatch made the impossible even clearer. It showed a date, 7 days in the future. For him, those 15 minutes had turned into an entire week. Even stranger were his first words. He mumbled sentences that made no sense, spoke of a white light surrounding him and of an overwhelming presence. Then he collapsed. And when he regained consciousness, he had no memory at all of the 7 days he had apparently spent outside. Many people believe this was far more than a simple time anomaly. The theory that persists to this day is chilling. During that missing week, Valdes was abducted by extraterrestrial beings. That bright light in the sky was the craft that pulled him aboard. There, he may have undergone experiments, examinations, or tests, like those described in countless abduction reports. Afterward, some believe, his memory was deliberately erased before he was placed back at the exact spot where he had vanished. For his comrades, it was 15 minutes. For him, it was a full week. No one has ever been able to explain. This theory fits disturbingly well with other UFO encounters: missing time, lost memories, sudden blackouts. Again and again, abductees report that they thought only minutes had passed, while in reality, hours or even days were gone. But Valdes's case is unique because his entire unit witnessed it, and because his beard and his watch made the lost time both visible and measurable. The corporal himself spoke publicly about the event for years. He repeated over and over that he truly didn't know what had happened to him during that missing time, but his comrades never changed their story. They had all seen him step into the light, and they had all seen him return completely transformed. So the question remains, was Corporal Armando Valdes truly aboard a UFO for an entire week? Was he examined there and then returned with his memories wiped? Or did a portal open right in front of him, one he unknowingly walked through? And that leads to one final, deeply unsettling question. Would you even notice if you were abducted by extraterrestrial beings, if there were no witnesses at all? An extremely eerie thought, and trust me, that was only the beginning. The truly shocking cases are still ahead of you. Number 9. David and his secret time machine. This mysterious man who prefers to remain anonymous calls himself David, and he claims to have developed a strange device that could change our entire understanding of time forever. A functioning time machine. Not some giant laboratory full of high-tech equipment, but but an old-fashioned little device that looks like a simple remote control with a small screen and number pad. But David insists that this tiny box is capable of overriding the laws of time. Every button, every symbol carries a specific meaning, forming a code that lets you choose the exact year you want to travel to. If you choose the right moment, an invisible tunnel opens. That's how he describes it, launching you directly into the future. The energy for it comes from a combination of electricity and water. Two forces that have sustained life since the beginning are, according to him, perfectly aligned inside this machine to create a massive surge of energy powerful enough to tear open space and time. Absolutely fascinating. David says he has already traveled with his time machine about 20 times, but each journey was dangerous. Your body has to endure unimaginable pain, he explains, as if the energy is tearing you apart from the inside. He also stated that his time machine works in only one direction: forward. He could travel into the future and then return from there to the exact point in the present where he had started. But traveling into the past, to any moment before his departure, was impossible with his device. He tried multiple times and entered dates in the past, but nothing happened. No light, no tunnel, no opening into another time. There were moments, David says, when he truly believed he would not return alive to the starting point of his time journey. He even reports meeting people in the future who had been injured by the massive energies of time travel. One of them supposedly had a serious wound caused by some kind of laser weapon. It becomes even more mysterious when you look at his encounter in France. There, he met a man named Jacques Lion Cousteau. According to David, this man had already built a time machine that could take you not only into the future, but also into the past. David claims that Cousteau even reached as far back as the 5th century. Just imagine yourself standing there, someone traveling hundreds of years into the past and seeing with their own eyes how people lived back then. Absolutely insane. And this brings up a crucial question. What would happen if someone with such a machine changed history? If he warned a king or prevented a battle, would our entire reality shift in just seconds? Some researchers are convinced that this is not what would happen. They believe that every decision, every alteration in the past creates a new parallel universe. That means if someone changed the past, you wouldn't notice anything at all. Instead, a new timeline would simply open up, and the time traveler would find himself in a completely separate universe. David says the furthest year he has ever visited with his time machine was the year 3460, and he emphasizes that the world he saw there was so unbelievably different and advanced that he can barely put it into words. What he witnessed in the year 3460 surpasses anything you could possibly imagine. Gigantic cities floating in the sky, beings that were half human and half machine, and an Earth that hardly resembled ours at all. But as fascinating as it all sounds, David also warns about the dangers. He describes how the device cuts straight through walls, leaving massive destruction behind. Time travel isn't an adventure without consequences. It's playing with forces far greater than we are. Now imagine yourself holding the remote of this time machine in your own hand. You enter, for example, the year 3500, and suddenly you're seeing a humanity that has already colonized distant planets. Diseases like cancer no longer exist, and people travel through space in flying ships. Or maybe you choose to visit the past, ancient Egypt, watching live as the pyramids are being built. An experience that would make every history book irrelevant. But would it truly be a discovery for the good of everyone? Or more like a weapon capable of controlling all of humanity? A single machine that dissolves the boundaries between past, present, and future. A thought that is absolutely fascinating, but extremely dangerous. And now we come to the final, decisive question. If you had David's time machine yourself, would you travel into the past first, or would you rather go into the future? And which year would you choose? Write it in the comments. We can't wait to see your answer. Number 8. the secret Mars portal beneath the Great Pyramid. Are the pyramids of Giza maybe more than just massive stone monuments? Could they actually be portals to distant worlds, or even to other points in time? That exact suspicion runs like a thread through countless reports, legends, and theories. To this day, scientists and archaeologists are still breaking their heads over how the ancient Egyptians managed to build these gigantic structures with the tools they had at the time. Every single stone weighs several tons, and yet they fit together with millimeter precision. The Great Pyramid is aligned so mathematically precise that it points exactly to the cardinal directions. A level of accuracy that is extremely hard, if not nearly impossible, to achieve even with today's modern technology. Pretty insane. Back in the 1920s, the British mystic Paul Brunton wrote about his travels through Egypt. He said the Great Pyramid wasn't an ordinary tomb, but possibly an interdimensional portal. For Brunton, it was a place where the boundaries between our world and other dimensions begin to blur. Imagine it, a structure that not only survives death, but may even allow a crossing into other realities. One extremely fascinating thought. Decades later, Swiss author Erich von Däniken picked up this idea once again. He became famous for his books about the so-called ancient astronaut theory, and now it gets really interesting. Because von Däniken is absolutely convinced that extraterrestrials have been influencing humanity for thousands of years. And in the shafts and chambers of the pyramids, he saw signs of stargates, passages through which priests could communicate with other planets. Especially Mars, the red planet, played a central role in many of these accounts. Esoteric texts speak of a vibrational state in which the portal inside the pyramid can be activated. It refers to a moment when the space around you begins to vibrate, almost like an energy vortex. At that frequency, matter is said to lose its solid form, making the transition into another dimension possible. An astonishing thought, that the pyramid isn't just a structure made of stone, but a key connected to an invisible network of distant places and times. Some experts go even further. They talk about a hidden chamber deep inside, a kind of transit point that functions like an airlock between worlds. Whoever enters that room, they say, leaves our world and steps into another world or another time. Clues pointing toward these ideas can be found throughout the pyramid. Symbols of stars, mysterious hieroglyphs, strange depictions of flying craft, and beings that do not look human. Are these possibly signs suggesting that the pharaohs actually had access to distant worlds? One particularly puzzling incident took place in the 19th century. French archaeologist Auguste Mariette, founder of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, was supervising excavations in Saqqara. Assistants claimed he had descended into a secret passageway and vanished for hours without a trace. When he returned, he was pale, disoriented, and muttering about enormous halls that were not made by human hands. What happened to him during that time? Some are convinced that Mariette had discovered a portal. Maybe he stepped into one of these gateways without realizing it and caught a glimpse of a reality just seconds away, yet belonging to an entirely different world. His words sound like the testimony of a man who experienced something far beyond the limits of known archaeology. And when you take a closer look at all these clues, you can't help but reach the conclusion that the Great Pyramid is very likely far more than just a burial monument. It could be a massive machine, a junction point between Earth and distant stars, a transit hub between different times. So is the so-called Mars tunnel actually real? Did the pharaohs use it to contact other worlds, and perhaps even travel regularly into different dimensions? Could it be that the true builders of the pyramids did not come from Earth at all, but arrived here through portals? A deeply fascinating thought that sparks the imagination intensely. What's coming up next is so unbelievable that you'll probably want to hear it at least twice. If you're enjoying the video, we'd really appreciate a like and a subscription. Thank you so much. Number 7. The time traveler from the year 2200. This mysterious man who refuses to reveal his identity calls himself Davis. He claims to be a time traveler from the year 2200 and says he's here to give you a glimpse into the future. His most important proof, a small, unremarkable pellet. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary tablet. But Davis says that inside it lies the solution to one of humanity's greatest problems: hunger. This food pellet contains every vitamin, mineral, and calorie a human needs. A single one is enough for 7 full days. In the year 2200, he says, it's provided free of charge every month by the government, and has completely eliminated hunger on Earth. Imagine that for a moment. A tiny grain, barely larger than a pea, replacing everything you eat. No cooking, no agriculture, no food shortages. Davis describes it as the foundation of a new world order in which no one dies of hunger anymore. A breathtaking thought. But that's not all. Davis talks about other developments of his era. Cancer, one of the greatest challenges of our time, has been completely defeated. Through medical breakthroughs, the disease practically no longer exists in the future. People live healthy lives well past 100. He himself is already 103 years old, and yet as vital as a man in his 30s. And then there are his visions of space travel and technology. Davis says that by the year 2200, humans have long since settled on Mars, built cities there, and formed a new society. Flying cars are an everyday sight. And not just that. These vehicles are able to rise out of the atmosphere and travel directly into space. The dream of science fiction is already reality in his world. For many people, it sounds like pure fantasy, but the sheer detail in his descriptions makes it all incredibly fascinating. He talks about entire fleets of these space vehicles traveling regularly between Earth and Mars, about spaceports, and about how humanity fully made the leap into the cosmos. But here's the crucial question. If Davis truly comes from the year 2200, how did he get here? He stays vague. He mentions an extremely advanced technology that is strictly classified and warns that he must remain anonymous. His real identity must never be revealed, or his life would be in serious danger. It sounds like something straight out of a thriller. And that's exactly what makes this case so intriguing. But what if Davis is telling the truth? What if this little food pellet is actually an artifact from the future? A tangible proof that time travel isn't just possible, but already happening? At this point, you can't avoid asking yourself the following questions. Is Davis truly a time traveler from the year 2200? Or are we dealing with someone with a very vivid imagination? Who knows? Number 6. The secret blue room portal of Dulce. There are several intriguing reports about hidden rooms on Earth that serve as gateways to other worlds. One such room is said to be located right in the middle of the United States. A place where beings from other dimensions allegedly enter our world, hidden inside a base that officially doesn't even exist. And that's exactly where the mystery surrounding the infamous Dulce facility in New Mexico begins. Deep within the rock of Archuleta Mesa, an enormous underground complex is said to exist. Officially, nothing about it appears in any records. And yet extremely interesting reports, insider stories, and detailed accounts keep surfacing. At the center of these claims stands the so-called Blue Room, a mysterious room where an energy portal is said to exist. Witnesses described pillars of light forming there, looking like a tunnel, as if the room itself was opening a passage into another world. Some called it a wormhole, others a cosmic elevator. A sight no words can fully explain. This is where things get especially exciting when you consider the statements of Phil Schneider. He was a construction and explosives engineer, and in the 1990s he went public, claiming that he had personally worked on secret government construction projects, including Dulce. Schneider said he had seen underground levels and high-tech laboratories there, and had even come face-to-face with extraterrestrial beings during construction work. In his lectures, he described in dramatic detail how he was attacked and seriously injured by one of these beings. He displayed visible scars and spoke of hand injuries he supposedly suffered in that encounter. His accounts made him a key figure in the Dulce discussion and caused major international attention. But surprisingly, Schneider was found dead in his apartment in 1996, under extremely strange circumstances that remain unsolved to this day. Shortly before, he had announced he was going to release even more secret information. Even more striking, these accounts say that the extraterrestrial beings were not just visitors, but that they worked side by side with humans on classified joint projects. Biological experiments, extremely advanced technologies far beyond anything we have today. All of this is said to have taken place deep underground. Dulce became a synonym for a secret collaboration between two species. But how would such a portal actually work on a technical level? Simplified. An energy portal concentrates enormous forces until space itself becomes unstable. You could say it folds the structure of space and time like paper. Two extremely distant points suddenly lie right next to each other. That exact effect makes it possible to bridge distances of light years in fractions of a second. Which means the Blue Room would essentially be a cosmic hub. A room where the known laws of physics are completely overridden. Anyone who enters this mysterious room doesn't just leave Earth. They step into a completely different reality. The image of a light tunnel opening right in front of your eyes sounds like science fiction, yet that is precisely what the people who supposedly worked there described. And when you put all these clues together, you get a picture that is almost impossible to grasp. An underground base hidden from the world, where a portal between Earth and other worlds exists. A portal that not only allows travel, but also explains how extraterrestrial beings even reach our planet in the first place. So is the Blue Room truly the gateway through which extraterrestrial visitors have had direct access to Earth for decades? And if so, who or what is controlling this mysterious entrance? A deeply frightening thought. Are you ready for an escalation? Then pay close attention now. Number 5. The Sri Lanka Stargate. Right in the middle of the ancient ruins of Anuradhapura, one of the oldest royal cities in Sri Lanka, lies a place that raises far more questions than it answers. Ranmasu Uyana, the Park of the Goldfish. Between stone walls and weathered pools of water, you find a carving in the rock that has become known worldwide, the Sakwala Chakraya. What you see there isn't a simple ornament. It's a complex design, concentric circles, interconnected axes, geometric symbols that look like a technical schematic. Archaeologists interpret it as a cosmological representation of the universe, a kind of map of the world view of ancient cultures. But others are absolutely convinced what lies here is clearly the blueprint of a Stargate, a gateway to other dimensions or even other points in time. What makes it especially fascinating is that ancient texts describe rituals said to have been performed at this very location. Priests were said to gather here, using chants, meditation, and secret substances to create a type of resonance field. Clues to these practices appear in fragments of old writings that speak of journeys between worlds. Some of these texts say that only the initiated could understand and activate the carving, and one element keeps appearing again and again: mercury. This liquid metal played a mystical role in many ancient cultures. In India and Tibet, it was described as a substance capable of powering flying machines, the so-called vimanas. Even in Mesoamerican traditions, it appears in connection with rituals and divine energy. Could mercury have played a crucial role here in Sri Lanka, as a medium to actually activate the Sakwala Chakraya and open portals? Imagine the scene like this. A priest enters the site at night. Only the flickering of torches illuminates the carving. With precise movements, he performs ancient rituals, offers sacrifices, and uses substances that expand consciousness. Maybe he placed containers of mercury into the geometric lines of the schematic. The air begins to vibrate, A deep tone fills the chamber. Suddenly, a gate of light opens in front of him, a passage into another reality. But where did that path lead? Some believe the priests traveled to the past or future to bring back knowledge. Others insist they contacted highly advanced species, beings who revealed technologies to humans that we still cannot comprehend today. And here's where things get incredibly exciting. Many researchers stress that ancient cultures may have been far more advanced than we assume. Structures like the pyramids, the astronomical precision of ancient temples, or carvings like the Sakwala Chakraya. All of these could hint that humanity once possessed extraordinary knowledge that was later lost. Maybe these ancient civilizations had contact with otherworldly beings who shared secrets of space travel, energy, and even time itself. Truly fascinating. If you follow that thought further, the carving of Ranmasu Uyana starts to look like an interface between worlds, a schematic understood only by those who had the knowledge to use it. And according to some legends, the priests were the travelers, moving between dimensions to receive messages from a higher reality. Now imagine this. A person from a long-gone civilization steps into a gate of light, passes through a network of energy, and finds himself seconds later on another planet, possibly face-to-face with beings far more advanced than he is. To the people of his time, he was a priest, but in reality, he may have been a messenger between worlds. The carving of the Sakwala Chakraya remains one of the great mysteries of our time. Is it merely a symbolic depiction of the cosmos? Or is it actually the instruction manual for a time machine? And if it does work, is it possible that with our modern technology we could activate this gate again? A deeply fascinating thought, and one last question that is genuinely thrilling. Did the priests of Anuradhapura truly have contact with extraterrestrial intelligences who visited Earth thousands of years ago? And could they have arrived through this very portal? Who knows? Number 4. The House Without Doors, Mexico's gateway into the unknown. Can an unremarkable stone house hidden deep in the wilderness be a portal to another world? And if so, where does this gate lead that supposedly opens only at night? In the remote region of Oaxaca, Mexico, stands a structure that locals have avoided for generations. They simply call it the House Without Doors. The walls are made of dark, weathered stone. No windows, no entrance, no opening. And yet people say that something happens inside at night that defies all understanding. Several villagers report a strange blue light appearing inside the house as soon as the sun sets. Some claim they saw the light form into a shimmering gateway, a passage that looked like a pulsing veil. The house itself seems to vibrate, as if invisible forces awaken within it. The legends go even further. Time and time again, people are said to have attempted to enter this light portal, but none of them ever returned. Families tell stories of relatives who walked inside one evening and vanished without a trace, as if the earth had swallowed them whole. Some residents swear they heard terrifying screams in the stillness of the night, sounds not of this world. A few researchers who studied the legends believe that the House Without Doors may have been built by an ancient civilization long before the Spanish arrived in Mexico. Perhaps it was a ritual building, a place where shamans sought contact with other worlds. Hints of similar structures can be found in myths of many cultures, wherever people believed in portals to gods or other dimensions. Interestingly, accounts of blue, glowing portals appear across many traditions. In modern physics, blue spectrum light is often associated with high-energy phenomena. So if a gate of blue light appears, it could have looked to the villagers like a visible sign of an intense energy field, perhaps even a real transition point. Some residents of Oaxaca also mention animals behaving strangely near the house. Dogs reportedly howled at night as if sensing something invisible. Others say birds avoid the airspace above the structure, as though they instinctively perceive a hidden danger. All of that reinforces the impression that forces far beyond the human realm may be at work here. So what exactly happens inside this house? Is it a place where different dimensions blend together? A room where the boundary between our world and a foreign reality tears open? If all these accounts are true, then the building in Oaxaca isn't just an old structure. It's a gate that swallows people and possibly sends them to places we can't even imagine. Is the house without doors actually a hidden portal that allows access to another world? Or could it even be a window to the underworld, the source of those unsettling screams villagers say they've heard? A thought that sends pure chills down your spine. But what's coming next makes this look tame in comparison. Number 3. The Babalon working, the most dangerous ritual in the world. Is it possible that an occult ritual performed in the middle of California opened the door to something mysterious, something that changed the world forever? And is it really just a coincidence that the greatest wave of UFO sightings in history began right after? The story begins in 1946 in Pasadena. Living there at the time was Jack Parsons, one of the most brilliant rocket scientists of his generation. He was a co-founder of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, an institution that later evolved into NASA. But while he worked on rocket fuels during the day, he devoted his nights to the world of the occult. In 1952, he died under extremely mysterious circumstances in an explosion in his own laboratory. To this day, many believe he wasn't the victim of an accident, but of a targeted attack, because he simply knew too much. At Parsons' side stood a man who would later found the world religion Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard. Scientology is a movement that teaches that humans can unlock their full mental potential and free themselves from emotional burdens through special methods. Long before Hubbard appeared as a spiritual leader, he moved within the circles of occultism. Together, he and Parsons immersed themselves deeply in the writings of Aleister Crowley, the infamous British magician who called himself the Great Beast and is considered one of the most influential occultists of the 20th century. Crowley's philosophy: break the boundaries between worlds through rituals. And this is exactly where the notorious Babalon working comes in. Parsons and Hubbard performed a series of disturbing rituals in 1946. The goal: to bring the goddess Babalon into the physical world. In occult tradition, she represents the Scarlet Woman, the embodiment of unleashed feminine power, creation, and apocalyptic transformation. Babalon is often described as a force that ushers in a new era. The rituals themselves consisted of long invocations, magical formulas, and a series of strange actions they repeated constantly for weeks. It wasn't only about words, it involved gestures, visualizations, and the focused directing of energy. The idea behind it: rituals generate a powerful energetic field. If this field is built with absolute concentration and specific patterns, it can function like a resonance chamber, a space where realities overlap and portals open. The idea sounds bizarre, but within the logic of such rituals, it makes complete sense. Because if our world is only one part of a larger network of dimensions, then rituals like the Babalon working could tap into the points where the boundaries are the thinnest. Parsons himself was absolutely convinced that he had truly opened a passage. And this is exactly where things get very unsettling, because just 1 year after the rituals, the most famous UFO wave in world history began. In 1947, pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing flying objects over Mount Rainier. That moved at incredible speeds. Only weeks later came the Roswell incident. A mysterious object crashed in the desert of New Mexico. The U.S. Army published an official statement initially claiming it had recovered a flying disc, then abruptly changed the explanation to a weather balloon. That sudden correction turned Roswell into one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. Many people are convinced that the remains of the object were taken to Area 51, that highly classified base in Nevada that is still associated with extraterrestrial technology and secret experiments. And this is where the circle closes. Was it the ritual performed by Parsons and Hubbard that opened a portal, creating the path for these sightings and encounters? Parsons himself wrote after the rituals that he had set something immense into motion that could no longer be stopped. His words sound like a dark prophecy today. So was it this ritual that marked the beginning of the modern UFO phenomenon? If all of that is true, then Parsons and Hubbard didn't just conduct an occult experiment. They opened a portal and triggered a chain of events that reshaped our understanding of the universe forever. Is the Babalon working the true origin of the UFO wave that has persisted since 1947? And is it really possible to open portals to other worlds through secret rituals and ceremonies? Absolutely insane. Number 2. The Hidden Stargate inside Popocatépetl. There are cases that aren't just reported by eyewitnesses. They're actually caught on camera. And one of those cases has been causing confusion at Popocatépetl for decades. Again and again, recordings show mysterious objects flying directly into the crater of the active volcano, and later emerging from it again. Popocatépetl, one of the most dangerous and most sacred volcanoes in Mexico, has been surrounded by legends for centuries. The Aztecs worshipped it as the Smoking Mountain and believed it was a gateway to the world of the gods. But modern technology revealed something that makes even hardened skeptics pause. Surveillance cameras from government agencies regularly capture unknown flying objects that dive effortlessly into the boiling interior of the volcano. These objects appear as bright spheres of light or cigar-shaped bodies moving with unsettling precision. No airplane, no drone, no bird could survive that heat. And yet the objects vanish without a trace into the glowing depths. Minutes or hours later, similar lights reappear and leave the crater as if it were a secret entry point to an invisible world. Many researchers and UFO experts therefore support a radical theory. Inside the volcano's crater lies a dimensional portal, an energy gate that doesn't just lead to other regions of our galaxy, but is connected to completely foreign star systems. The distances in the universe are so immense that our brains can barely comprehend them. Even the fastest rockets humanity has ever created would need tens of thousands of years to reach the nearest stars. Travel as we know it from science fiction movies would be absolutely impossible, at least with conventional methods. And this is exactly where the portal theories come in, because only through shortcuts like these can such enormous distances even be crossed. Portals could function like tunnels in space, connecting two distant points directly. If Popocatépetl truly houses such a portal, then the UFOs seen there aren't simple flying machines. They're interstellar craft using that passage to reach Earth or depart from it. That would explain why so many sightings occur around this specific volcano. Some experts go even further. They believe the volcano itself serves as the energy source that keeps the portal stable. The massive forces from the magma deep inside Earth could generate exactly the type and magnitude of energy needed to maintain a connection between two worlds. A thought that is incredibly fascinating. And the recordings the public has seen are unmistakable. You can see a glowing object appear in front of the crater, glide into it, and simply disappear. Skeptics talk about optical illusions, weather events, or camera glitches, but the frequency and clarity of the footage make many doubt that these are just coincidences. If all of this is true, then Popocatépetl isn't just a volcano. It's one of the greatest mysteries on Earth. A potential junction point where foreign civilizations can access our world without crossing millions of light years. And that raises one last breathtaking question. Are we actually witnessing a cosmic stargate at Popocatépetl? And if so, aren't the beings capable of using such portals far, far beyond us? Pretty unsettling to think they can come and go anytime they want. Ready for the finale? Then listen closely now. Number 1. The Mithras Mysteries. Rome's secret gateways to the afterlife. Did the Romans do far more in their secret rituals than just worship their gods? Did they perhaps open portals into other worlds, hidden deep beneath the streets of the ancient empire? The Mithras mysteries were among the most enigmatic secret cults of antiquity. Originating in the 1st century AD, the cult spread like wildfire throughout the Roman Empire. But here's the strange part. The rituals didn't take place in grand temples, but in hidden, underground chambers. These so-called Mithraea were small, dark, cave-like rooms, spaces intentionally built to be completely cut off from the outside world. It was inside these chambers that mysterious ceremonies took place, ceremonies only the initiated were allowed to witness. Historians still have no clear idea what exactly happened inside. Some interpret the Mithras mysteries as ceremonial symbolism, but others are convinced the priests used special intoxicating brews and monotonous chanting to enter trance states, states in which, according to their own belief, they crossed the threshold between this world and the afterlife. Imagine the scene: a narrow room lit by torches, priests chanting rhythmically, drums echoing dully, and a drink that opens the mind. Then the room itself begins to vibrate, and the participants feel a gateway to another reality opening before them. For them, this wasn't symbolism. It was a real experience, a genuine contact with something that lay beyond human comprehension. What's particularly interesting is that many Mithraea contain depictions of stars, planets, and cosmic symbols. For some researchers, this is a clear hint that the priests were trying to connect with cosmic forces. Maybe they believed their rituals enabled direct transitions into other dimensions, or even to the stars themselves. A Mithraeum was often built to symbolize the cosmos itself, the narrow shape as a representation of the world axis, the bull-slaying relief as a symbol of the eternal cycle of death and rebirth. Stone benches along the walls allowed the initiates to lie down during the rituals, a symbolic death before they returned in a ritual rebirth. All of this strengthens the impression that the Mithras priests weren't merely practicing a religion, they were intentionally trying to cross thresholds. But why trance and mind-altering substances? Modern neuroscience explains that altered states of consciousness can shift the brain into patterns, in which time and space are no longer perceived in the usual way. For the Mithras priests, that exact moment was when portals became visible, transitions into the afterlife that otherwise remained closed. Looking at all of these clues, you get the picture of a cult that didn't just guard secrets, it actively tried to push the boundaries of our reality. The Mithras mysteries may therefore have been far more than religion. They may have been an experiment to open the door to the unknown. So, did the Romans actually open portals to the afterlife with their rituals? And are the Mithraea still preserved in ruins today, the last silent witnesses of these hidden gateways? Very, very interesting. What do you think? Is there truly more to these stories than we imagine? Which case fascinated you the most? Write it in the comments. We're excited to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, we'd really appreciate a like and a subscription. Thank you so much.